Kantara is much more than just the classic hero's journey that we see in books and movies. It's also the depiction of something much more ancient and rooted in yoga, the journey of the Kundalini. What we see on screen is a full scale Kundalini Jagran. Om Arunachala, I watched Kantara again for a second time. On the surface, the film is about, the tribal versus government conflict. It's also about the place of bhakti and tradition in the 21st century. But hidden beneath the surface of the film is a much stronger message and symbolism. And this video is my humble attempt to explain what I have seen in the film and why I think Kantara is such a monumental movie. The textbook definition of the Kundalini is that it is a serpent that is coiled 3.5 times at the base of the spine, and as it awakens, as it rises, it goes through each of the chakras, starting from the base chakra, which is the Mooladhara chakra, all the way up to the crown chakra or the Sahasrara. My guru, Sri Guru Rohit Arya, calls this phenomenon a Kundalini explosion. When the Kundalini is fully awakened, the person is activated and energized at a cellular level. It's almost as if a nuclear explosion has taken place. It has wiped out the person who was there before, and in his place, there is a completely different person who is at the height of his or her powers. What Kantara has done, and I don't think there is any other movie that has even attempted this, the film has shown us what happens when a Daiva takes a special interest in you and decides to activate your Kundalini. And in my opinion, this is the real reason why this film has resonated so much with people at an emotional and a spiritual level. The protagonist Shiva, played brilliantly by Rishab Shetty, is the son of a Bhuta Kola dancer. And it's tradition that the son of a Bhuta Kola dancer also becomes a Bhuta Kola dancer. But because of what he has seen as a child, it has so traumatized him that he has completely decided not to follow in his father's footsteps and ignore the traditions of his family. When a person is in Sharanagati, the Kundalini unfolds very gently. But because Shiva has been avoiding his true calling all his life, the Daiva knows that in Shiva's case, the Kundalini will need to blast through each of his chakras. It's not going to be a gentle activation of the Kundalini. The Daiva decides that he is going to smash each of Shiva's chakras and force the Kundalini activation to take place. Because that is the only way in which Shiva can be awakened. So if you remember, every time that the Daiva appears in front of Shiva, it's always a very traumatic experience for Shiva. He is scared, he shouts, he screams, he wakes up kicking and screaming. That's because while on the one hand he is scared of the Daiva, what's also happening is that each of his chakras are getting activated and cleansed. So remember that first instance when Shiva goes into the forest to hunt for wild boars. This is right after when he has to fight for his prize money. What happens? Shiva is still in survival mode. Now, money, survival, food, all these things are matters that kind of create blockages in the Mooladhara chakra. And that's why his very first encounter with the Daiva in the film is with a decked up wild boar, and this encounter completely smashes Shiva's Mooladhara chakra. What happens next? The Daiva again appears in front of Shiva, this time when Shiva is accompanying his lecherous boss for his late night dalliance with the maidservant. Now, sexuality, repressed memories, suppressed desires, all these are blockages in the second chakra, which is the Swadhisthana. So this time, Shiva gets a real fright because the Daiva appears to him in the form of his own father. If you remember that scene, and I think everyone in the theater just jumped out of their seats when this happened. He suddenly appears on screen and, Shiva gets the fright of his life. And I think even half the people in the audience almost had a heart attack. So now the Mooladhara has been awakened and the Swadhisthana has also been awakened. Now what happens next is Guruva is stabbed to death by the king. And it's not a coincidence that Guruva was stabbed in the belly because that is where the Manipura chakra is located. Shiva and Guruva are connected to each other because they are both from the same family and they both have the same destiny to become a Bhuta Kola dancer. So when Guruva is stabbed in his belly, it is Shiva's Manipura chakra that gets activated. Which is why when Shiva is in prison with his friends, he has a vision where Guruva comes to him and you can see that Guruva is in pain. And that again gives Shiva the shock of his life. And he knows that something has gone wrong, but he doesn't yet know what it is. Later on, he figures out that Guruva has been killed. And Guruva's vision that he got was actually a sign that Shiva needed to avenge Guruva's death and also take his rightful place as the Bhutakola dancer. So, in the first 3 or 4 instances, every time the Daiva appears in front of Shiva, he always has almost like, an out-of-body experience. And in this manner, the lower 3 chakras, that is the Mooladhara, Swadhisthana and Manipura, are cleansed and awakened. But there is still some resistance that remains. Shiva is traumatized but still oblivious to the truth. So which means this is the best time for his Anahata chakra to be awakened and cleansed as well. And that's when we have one of the most brilliant scenes in the film when Shiva is attacked and the fight takes place in the rain and there are swords flying through the air and fire. In a way, water and fire, they just come together to carry out a complete Shuddhikaran of Shiva's Anahata chakra. So what happens next? For the first time in his life, Shiva goes to the king's house and he actually walks over the threshold of the house. He goes to the dining table and sits down in front of the king as his equal. This time, Shiva's 5th chakra, which is the Vishuddhi chakra or the throat chakra, has completely opened up, which is why he's able to look the king in his eyes and actually give him an open challenge and speak from a position of authority and power. He tells the king, I know what you're up to. Time is on our side, and you will have to now pay for your crimes. On his way back to his village, Shiva has one final vision. His father once again appears to him in the middle of the road and Shiva falls off his bike. It's a full moon night and Shiva runs into the forest behind his father like he always does. And there is this beautiful scene where we can see the full moon high up in the sky peeping through the trees. It's almost as if Lord Shiva's third eye has opened up and is looking down at Shiva on the ground, and Shiva's Ajneya chakra, which is his own third eye, that also opens up. So in this way, every single chakra, all the way from the Mooladhara to the Ajneya, has been awakened and opened. There is only one chakra that is yet to be opened, and that's the Sahasrara or the crown chakra. And all Shiva needs is one final push. And that's when we come to the amazing climax of this film. The village is attacked. Shiva sees his village being burned down to the ground. His friends are being killed. His land is being polluted. He tries to fight back, but there are casualties and Shiva doesn't know what he's going to do. And then one of the villains catches hold of Shiva and throws him against a wall. Shiva flies through the wall and his head bangs against a rock. But it's no ordinary rock. It's actually a Vigraham with a Trishul on it. Shiva's skull cracks open, blood is spilled on the Trishul, and that completes his rite of passage. As Shiva lays dying, or perhaps he is already dead, the film is not clear about this. And there is that incredible scene which, just thinking about it gives me goosebumps. The Daiva appears out of nowhere. Shiva is lying face down on the ground. The Daiva gives out this loud cry, and that activates Shiva's Sahasrara chakra. Shiva gets this intense blast of energy. It's like a thunderbolt has gone through his body. His hair starts moving, the ground underneath him starts shaking, and finally, Shiva's Kundalini has completely awakened and he has become an Avesham of the Devata. Now, finally, Shiva can fulfill his destiny. Kantara really is one of those rare films that just gets better with repeated viewing. And I am convinced that there is definitely something very divine about the film. This film is a gift from our gods, and it is telling Hindus to wake up, to come out of a catatonic slumber. The gods are always awake. We are the ones who are sleeping. We need to wake up and answer their call. That is the central message of this brilliant film. And may the gods bless Rishab Shetty for being the conduit for this message and for making a truly remarkable and path-breaking film. Sarvam Shivamaya.